Hello and welcome to the Sunbirdcrochet podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is the 23rd of June and it's cold outside. Unlike last weekend where we had over 30 degrees, it's now much colder and for me that's heavenly. I'm coming to you today with a finished object, some incoming, and I can't show you any whips because they're still secret. And I have also got here an heirloom, which is not necessarily wool related, but I thought you might be interested. It is fiber art related, kind of. So hopefully you will enjoy that as well. And I've also got here a lovely bouquet of flowers because we had a thunderstorm and all the roses in the garden were blown down to the ground, and so I made the most of it. I emptied my glass bowl, which I had used for my mini advent minis, and I put water in and I put all the roses in here. I mean, let me show you. Now that was a bad idea. I will show to you here in a separate video so you see the lovely bouquet. But let's start with thank you for being here. If you are a new viewer or a returning viewer, I'm really happy that you found your way to my little podcast niche here, corner of YouTube. And I hope I won't be boring you too much so that you're going to come back. I recently announced that I will have a different kind of vlogging in next month, and I already uploaded one episode which was all about the spending time with my sister at her pool, although you didn't see too much of us. Let's just say I don't really have a good bikini figure, although I did see a comic. I'm always going on a tangent. I did see a lovely comic, and it is about, do you want a bikini figure? Do you have a body? Put on a bikini, you've got a bikini figure. Something like that. But let's return to crochet. I'm all over the place today. Concentration, Claudia, concentration. First things first, finished object. It's to no surprise, and you've seen it before on my Instagram, it's my Jane shawl, which I've shown it to you. Showed? You've seen it before on my last episode, just with different colors. It has been that powdery pink, which I crocheted up and added a ruffle border, and this version has different colors. It's more yellow and grayish purple, which goes into a deeper purple. And then I added the iris crochet border, which is not my design, but you can find it on the internet for free, and it's a lovely border. Spot the mistake. I did it the wrong way around. Okay, this is the right way for the main body of a shawl and the wrong way for the border. So the right way of a border is on the wrong side of a shawl. but who really cares? I mean, it looks nice from both sides. So that's my Jane shawl. Finished object, check. And yes, I've got quite a lot of works in progress. I've handed in 3 design suggestions to the Murat magazine, and you still have time until the middle of July to enter your design. But so far I've entered 3, and I think that's quite enough. I've got a lovely reply from Alison. She said, I'm not going to repeat it, but basically I've got plenty of ideas, and yes, I do. I just worry about, not worry, but it will be quite a lot of work if any of it gets chosen. But I will manage somehow. Or I will call and shout out for help. So I can't show you any works in progress. That's the reason why I'm working on 3 samples, because if any of the 3 suggestions which I've sent out will be picked at the end of July, then I will have to work up a sample and write down the whole pattern until October. And so I thought, regardless if it gets chosen or not, I will start crocheting the samples now. Otherwise I will be in a bit of a pickle. I can tell you that 1 is a garment and 2 are neckwear. No surprise there. And no, it's not all color work crochet. Not all. As I look down here, I can also see, I almost forgot to show you, I've got a new patchwork tablecloth, and I will show it to you later as well. It's really lovely. I haven't made it. I purchased it on Etsy, but it's really, really lovely, and it wasn't too expensive. I mean, if you know how much fabric costs nowadays and how much work goes into a patchwork blanket, not just sewing and cutting and sewing the fabric pieces, but also do the quilting and the padding and the back side and the edging, then you know that the money I've spent on this, it was a bargain. But I'm digressing again. Move on, Claudia. I've got 1 plan ahead, and I'm going to start with it today. I've bought some new yarn, which is my incoming section. 2 of those arrived a couple of days ago. I bought it from Marianti Yarns on Etsy. Let me grab the yarn. I've already balled it up so that I can start right away. It's in my last year's Halloween project bag. And it's these 2 colors. The one is called Granny Smith, like the apple, and this one is Vintage Dreams. And they're both 4-ply fingering weight yarn, 400 meters for 100 gram. So these are really, really lovely colors. I love these colors. Don't you agree? So these 2, and what I want to make is the Mosaica Gunes top, crochet top by Nomad Stitches, Sandra Gutierrez. How can I show to you without showing the pattern? I've printed it out so that I can start right away. There must be a photo somewhere. Nope. Let me show to you like this. That's the top. And you can see that there is some color work. It's mosaic crochet down here, and then you've got quite a plain upper body with it looks like a seam, but it's, I would think, front post stitches. But I haven't actually read the pattern yet. I saw it on Chevis' podcast episode, don't know which one it was, but she made one and it looked lovely, and I think I will do what she did. You see, usually the pattern comes with the option of a lower back, that you have a free shoulder area, but I would prefer to have that kind of design on the back as well. So I will make 2 identical front and backs and then sew them together. So Mosaica Gunes, a crochet top, and I will need a main color. I mean, these 2 colors are for the Mosaic Crochet, but I will need a main color. So I bought something from Lana's Colors, which is also a shop on Etsy. I really am a passionate Etsy buyer, and it arrived about, well, not even an hour ago, like half an hour ago, and I kept it in the bag. It came in a bag here, in a red gauze bag, and there's a stitch marker on it and a little thank you label, and the stitch marker is a meter band and centimeter mass, whatever that is in English. So let's see. I've got 4 skeins of this, and it's also 400 meters for 100 gram. It's merino wool and nylon mix, and just look at this. I think this is a perfect combination. So I will ball this up. This is a label. I will ball this up and then I can start tonight. Yes, so the other day I was on the Zoom chat with the Crochet Clan, which is a face group of crochet enthusiasts on Mighty Networks, and we are talking at least once a month on Zoom. And she was asking how many projects do we have on the go, and I was counting, and I actually never had to say how many I have, but in my head I counted 3 knitting projects, because I've started a new one last week as well, another ... beanie, also by Nomad Stitches. I can surely say that she's one of my favorite designers, and I must have about 10 crochet projects on the go. The 3 samples, okay, it's not my fault. And tonight, the Mosaica Gunes. I don't know how you tick. Do you have plenty of projects on the go, or just 1, or just 3? Does it make you nervous? It doesn't make me nervous to have so many projects, because it's a huge playground and I can just grab what I fancy that day. So it's a bonus to have so many projects on the go. Okay, so was that all? Yeah, I think that's all from the crochet side of things. Before I start showing you my heirloom special, I would like to recommend a movie to you, because the person dearest to my heart, he recommended a movie to me, and I've watched it earlier, and it's called The Silver Skates. It's a movie from last year, and I believe it's a Russian movie, and it's almost like a fairy tale, like a Romeo Juliet movie kind of thing. It's about an aristocratic young woman who would like to go and study chemistry, but she isn't allowed because that's not what the women do at the time. That this is, I believe, happening all in the year 1900. And then you have an ice skater, a young man. He's his job is to deliver sorry, distracted. I can see he just wrote to me. Concentrate, Claudia. A young man who delivers parcels using his ice skates, because it's all taking place in St. Petersburg in Russia. And he loses his job because he is unable to deliver the parcel he had to deliver. Do you notice that I'm confused? I'm not making a good job explaining the movie. It's a love story, and it's also about the difference between the rich and the poor. It's like it feels like watching a fairy tale, and it's really a beautiful movie. And as I was told, it's a lovely movie, and I must agree. So that's what I can recommend watching. I just don't know if you can watch it in the country where you are, because it's a Russian movie and maybe they haven't released it in everywhere. I don't know. I watched it in Russian with no, I can't understand Russian. I watched it in Russian with an English subtitle. So yeah, it was a lovely movie. And no, I can't tell you how it ends. I would spoil the movie for you. So I will stop here, and then I will take up my heirloom and show you from a different angle as I unpack or open the heirloom. So see you in a bit. There you go. I hope you can see what I'm seeing. This is the blanket, by the way. Such lovely fabrics. There's a little bunny and a chrysanthemum and a fox, and really, really beautiful cloth. So my heirloom is, excuse me, it's the old, let me just put this aside a bit. It's my grandmother's. It's my grandmother's sewing box. So let's see what's inside. I don't know if there's anything interesting in here, because it probably has been filled since the 1940s, and whatever is in here, I'm not responsible for it. So let's see what we have here. This whole side here on the top, this one here, it has all kinds of buttons, vintage buttons. If you're into buttons, this looks quite nice. I've got quite a lot of these. No, these are different, but definitely vintage as well. Can you see that one? Stuff like these. That's a button. And this is, I think this is bakelit with messing, with brass. All very vintage. Look at that one. I wonder where they came from. There you go. Maybe I've got a vintage sewing project at some stage. Oh, it's another metal one. And then I can duck in here and get them all out. What's that? Oh, it's also a button. Look. Strange and beautiful buttons. Oh, this is perlmutt. Can you see it? It's from a shell. You can see it here. That's real perlmutt. Well, quite a lot of vintage buttons. So let's move this to the side. Isn't that a beauty? It opens up like a harmonica. But here, I don't know if you can see it. Let me close this again so that it doesn't topple out. Here we've got a lot of, this is, feels like velvet, but it isn't. And this is, these are, look at this tin. I wonder, it's supposed to be needles, 25 grams in size number 6. Some of these are still in there. Needles. Quite a cute little box. And then we've got another tin box. GABA eingetragenes Warenzeichen. Oh, for sportsmen, singers and smokers. Ah, can you read this? It prevents coughs, sore throats and catarrhs. And it's also, if you're thirsty, it helps you. Yeah. And it's very refreshing. So it must have been like a pill box or a sweet box. I can't open it. Why can't I open it? There's something in here. GABA. Oh, can you see this? This has like a embossed face. Oh, I think there you can see it. It's a face with an open head with an open mouth, and it's actually eating one of these sweets. What a funny box! And if only I could open it. Absolutely stuck. Must be sugar. Let's keep this closed. And then I have some leather bands here. I have no idea what they're for. Oh, what's that? That looks interesting. Oh, that's an old fountain pen tip. I tell you, the box is smelling a little bit of cellar. And that's interesting. And then we've got old Stolzenberger Stopfgarn. This is for mending socks. And more leather pieces. Also, this must be leather as well. Oh yeah, yeah, it is. It's like Nappa leather. And some red leather. Yeah, so this is the leather and tin boxes compartment. Now, let's open this further. I don't want this to fall out. All right. Phew, a little bit smelly. There are some buttons falling out. Oh, that's a nice one. Can you see it? It's actually, when the light goes behind it, it's see-through in parts, so it looks like a star. That's a fancy one. It's a plain one. So what we have here is some cloth, what is this? Oh, this is an old chocolate wrapper, and if you buy enough of these chocolates, then you can use the wrapping for playing domino. So this is cool, isn't it? I love these old things. So what we have here, let me take this out so that I don't get confused. Okay, some cloth pieces, am I wrong or am I right in saying that this is a garter for a 4-year-old? You know, before the nylon, you know what I mean. Garter, isn't it? Garter holders or something like that. And then I have a vintage buckle and some more cloth. This is puff. A seam ripper. That's useful. A seam ripper. That's an old. What is this for? If you are sewing, then you can surely tell me what this is used for. I mean, I would use it for cutting cookies or something like that, but it's probably not a cookie cutter. Please tell me what you use this for. Another vintage buckle. And a small one, more buttons. A wooden handle with nothing on the top, in case you ever wanted a wooden handle just by itself. Now on this side here we have more thread for sewing. Let me just see if there's anything interesting. And jeans. Oh, this is isn't that lovely? If you are wearing this is from the 70s, it must be. Look, if you have these flared trousers, then you can add a lovely vintage border to it. What else do we have? That's, I don't know. Some yarn, and this is quite a nifty needle. I would say that this is for sewing around corners or in tricky corners and edges, and it looks sturdy enough for leather, I would say. So this is a huge needle. And the yarn is Ackermann's in black. Then we have Ackermann Schlüsselgarn, 100% cotton, 200 meters in red. And this looks really, really old. This is also Ackermann's Vierfach Obergarn. And this is, look, this is disintegrating. It looks like it's really, really old. Look at it. Can you see it? Interesting. Now the main compartment. This is old newspaper pieces, and I would think that this was cut out to form some kind of pattern for a garment. You see? This might be a shoulder. And here are more pieces. Oh, this is for my... This is for my mother. It says Anita, which is the first name of my mother, and then it says Camietto dietro. You see, my grandmother, to whom this box belonged, was Italian, and it means that it's an inside of a jacket. Bluse, Anita. So it's a blouse, not a jacket. Cool. And this is... Look! Look at the news. Dollars are rolling for Tito, Washington, the 2nd of September. The American Foreign Ministry has granted Marshal Tito's plea and the Yugoslavian government for a loan of $20 million. That's more like a I mean, it's cut off. I can't tell you what it is, but it's 10,000 Eisen and people who are coming home. What? Deutsche Reichsbahn in der Doppelzone. This must be from the 1940s, when Germany had been divided into Russian zones, American zones, and British zones, and French zones. How cool is that? I don't want to break this, but let's see what's in the inside. I mean, bits of it is cut off. There, you see? Wir überwinden die Zonen from all over Germany. Shall we look what the other bits and pieces tell us? Oh, there you go. Nothing ever changes. Football. It's all about the points in football. Yeah, it is. Ostzonenmeister. Großes Schaufrisieren, which is a great show haircutting and hairstyling. Goodness. And the great French movie Manon has won a prize in Venice. Yeah. And here we have the other inside. Oh, there's the date, you see? 1949, Saturday, the 3rd of September, 1949. Shall we move on to the next one? This is all yarn for mending socks. Yeah. So this one used to cost 5 Groschen, which is 50 Pfennig, which is worth 25 cents, euro cents nowadays. Well, obviously, probably more because everything is now more expensive. This is color 807 and it's from Thuringia. J.G. Schmidt Jr. and Sons. And this is, good grief. I'm not sure if I shall show that to you. Look at the name. I mean, this is racist. Shocking. Why would they call mending yarn like that? Pair of scissors, really long ones, from Solingen. Obviously, because I'm very close to Solingen, and Solingen is famous for its knives and so on. Oh, this is all really old stuff. What's that? Piece of... What would you do with that? No idea. And then some... lovely. Last but not least, a very strong magnet. You know what you use that for? If you have all the needles flying around on your table, then you just go over it like that, and then you can pick the needles off. Practical thinking. So, that's the old sewing box of my grandmother. And as I said, she was from Italy, and she came to Germany in 1944 with just a letter in her hand from my grandfather, who was German. And she had to leave Italy because she was pregnant from a German soldier. And she arrived in Germany at the doorstep of his family. And they took her in. And my grandfather landed up in... oh, let me just tell you the story while I look at you. And my grandfather ended up in a prisoner of war camp in Egypt, near the Suez Canal. And he changed the camp now and then, and he got in there in April 1945. He was captured in a place close to Venice, and they had to march for 6 days to a port, and there they were shipped over to Egypt, and they stayed there until 1948. So for 4 years he was in Egypt, and my grandmother with my mother was here in Germany, and my grandmother couldn't speak a word of German, so that's tough times, eh? And yeah, so my mother saw her father for the first time when she was 4 years old. But that's old history. Yeah, so but what I wanted to tell you is that my grandmother was very talented in sewing. She was sewing until late in her 80s, and she died when she was 93. So she was blind by then and couldn't sew anymore, which was heartbreaking for her, but she loved sewing. And she was doing all the mending in the family of the clothes, and she was sewing blouses, and when we were little she was sewing us dresses, and yeah, and she had to retire early. Her profession wasn't actually sewing, but she was a weaver. She was working here in one of the companies, she was working in different companies during her time here, working life. She was weaving fabric for bandages, Mullbinden, and then she was weaving carpets. You see, they had in Düsseldorf, they were having these fashion designer and fashion shops and designers, and when they were getting rid of their models, not the people but the clothes, the samples, these like costumes and stuff and such, they and ended up in the fabric where my grandmother worked. They ripped it all apart into long pieces of cloth, and then they were weaving carpets from that. And she also was later a weaver, or she was using the weaving machines, you know, it was like factories. She was the overseer over 5 machines, and they were weaving these teddy bear cloth type of things. Don't know what it's called, the type of cloth, but it's really hardy, and they were using it for furniture. So yeah, so she was the overseer in a weaving factory. So yeah, and her mother-in-law, I mean the mother of my grandfather, she was a seamstress. She originally came from Coburg. She was born in Coburg, or near Coburg, back when Germany wasn't a country, but it was rather lots of counties and dukes and duchesses and these kind of Herzogtümer, like dukedoms before 1918. And she was a seamstress, and I still have her scissors. Let me just get them out and I'm going to show it to you. So I keep them there in my cupboard, and these are from my great-grandmother, a pair of scissors, and I don't know who that is, but I can imagine that it's the but I can imagine that it's the aristocracy from Coburg, Sachsen-Coburg. So these are very old pair of scissors, but I've even got older ones. Look at these. They must have been in the family like over... They probably belong to the mother of my great-grandmother. And these are really, really old. Also for sewing, for snipping off that pesky thread. Can you see the design of the metal? So, yeah. So that was the heirloom special. I hope that you enjoyed it. I mentioned my plans for next month. I'm not sure if I will go through with it. I mean, I would have to have content every day, but we will see. Maybe I will film a couple of things during a span of days, and then I will put it all together and give it out to you like once a week or so. We will see whatever happens. I mean, it depends on what happens. So thank you for watching and for spending time with me. I hope that you are going to enjoy your crafting time, and I'm going to talk to you soon. Bye!